People wanted to know why we were harvesting our honey, which we got a little over 25 gallons. It was five 5-gallon buckets, plus a little extra. Why we were harvesting our honey when it's still kind of summer, right? This is why. This is called goldenrod. Bees love it, but makes your honey smell like feet, and I don't like feet. That's gross. So we harvest as soon as we see it blooming like this. We pull our supers, and then we'll put them back, and the bees will refill them. And all that honey from here until whenever things stop flowering, that is their honey. They can have it. I don't want it. Some people like goldenrod honey. I do not. And so we give it to them. They can have it. So goldenrod, you see it all over the highway. If you drive along the highway, you'll see all the yellow blooming along the highways. Not to be confused with those. I think those are black-eyed Susans, right? Which bees do not really like, but they love the goldenrod. So, not for me. Hello and welcome back to our sustainable journey. I am Steve. Today, it's about 110, I think. I think the actual temperature is like 98, but it's one of those where the feels like temperature is 110. So we're gonna cool off the animals. Let me show you what we do. So the chickens, I'll go running. We still have our bobcat issue. I talked to the state Department of Natural Resources, right? It was Department of Natural Resources, and talked about the bobcat issue. They will issue a nuisance tag, as it's called, but they wanted me to do everything else that I could to remedy the situation. And since it's been crazy hot, we want the chickens getting out instead of being cooped up, so to speak, in the barn. We have fans in there and stuff, but we wanted them getting out too. So we opened up this area. We built a little fence around. They used to have free reign over everything. They could, we're on 10 acres, so they would hang out with the cows. They would hang out in the woods over there by the cats. They would hang out in the woods over there, because our property goes back that way a bunch. But now they're confined until we deal with this bobcat situation. So I have trail cams set up all around the property now to see if I can catch it, because I'd rather not get the nuisance tag and because killing it just means that something else is going to come in its place. So so we have them confined. So we have them locked into this area. So you can see in the last, I think it's been 2 weeks, they've eaten back all that. We just let this area overgrow because we knew that, there'd be flowering plants and things like that for the bees and other things. And the chickens have completely devoured all of it. But now they can also get some shade in there, and there's enough, I'll try and get closer. There's enough dirt and dust and things like that they can take dust baths and they can enjoy themselves and cool off, because it's way cooler in the shade of the plants. And then we've given them, there are 4 waters right now for them that we refill 3 times a day. And I need to get in here with a mower or something and get rid of all these plants. Because we now the chickens, you don't realize how much the chickens remove until they're not there removing it. So they can't really get into this area. Sometimes they do, they'll fly over and stuff, but then they'll fly back. But we're trying to keep them out of it for their own safety until we figure out where the bobcat is coming in. So that's what we're doing for the chickens. So a lot of water, fresh air, a lot of plants for them to get shade in, and then we're also giving them watermelon and cold veggies, essentially, so they can peck at them and get a little bit of ice in there. The pigs don't sweat. They can't, so they wallow. And so they've built this. We didn't really do much. We just provided water for them, and they've built this little wallow, so it's like a little mud spa for them. You can see, just lay down, dude. It's cool. Just chill. So they're hanging out. But you also notice they have a path. I'll show you the path. You can see it. They've got a path going right down here, and around the whole perimeter of that fence. And there's shade, and so they'll lay down. I don't know if you can see the fence from here. But that's where they hang out, is either down there or up here in the shade. But it's hot, so we're trying not to get them too excited. And we'll give them plants. We have squash and pumpkins and things like that we'll give them to munch on and cool off as much as they can. So that's the pigs. Now the cows get their water. They don't really, temperature doesn't seem to bother them. They're over there right now. They also have their shelter that they can hang out in. They also, you notice, they broke their fence, so that's great. So I need to fix that, but it's gonna wait probably a week or two until the temperatures lower a bit. Chickens, pigs, cows. We have a routine. We come out here 2 or 3 times. Well, we come out in the morning, we come out in the evening, and then we come out 2 or 3 times extra on hot days like this. You see the chickens they're jungle chickens now. They're just hanging out. I can't even imagine how many eggs are in there. But we'll leave those eggs for them. I'm not worried about it. They can use the nesting boxes for our eggs. So yeah, so they're all outside, and you can see the ones taking dust baths. Just chilling. So, and if you heard in the background, so that's an adult rooster. We have, remember the mama chicken that had 6 or 7 babies? Well, 6 of them have lived, and they're out here in the coop. We're keeping them separate until they're a little bit bigger and they can fend for themselves. We've got a rooster in there now. I'm crowing, which is a problem because now we have 5 roosters, and that's probably 5 too many roosters. So they're in here right now in this coop. On really hot days, we'll put a fan in the window blowing outward, and that way it creates a cross breeze because there's a window on the other side. I'll show you to get some breeze. See? So while they were watching. All right, so that is the other set of chickens. So now we've got dogs and cats, and they're basically getting water all day long. And the other thing that we do is take like a 2-liter bottle, fill it with water, pop it in the freezer. Don't fill it all the way. And then we just give it to the dogs, and they'll play with it and cool off and lay on it and whatnot. Same thing with the cats. And the other animal that we need to take care of are the worms. So for weather like this, what we do with the worms, I'm just gonna sit. Oh, that's great. I'm just gonna sit and hang out with some poison ivy. Do you see that? That is poison ivy. So with the worms, same idea. Bottled water, frozen. You can give them watermelon. Some people will freeze the food they give them to cool them off. That's really only an issue. I mean, worms are outdoor animals. They're not used to air conditioning. So it's more an issue if you have tight bins or bins that are in a hot room or something like that. I've definitely done it. I've accidentally cooked worms before. That is the worst smell in the world. I don't recommend it. And so you want to make sure that they're cool. Bring them inside if you can. Put them in a basement where it's nice and cool. Keep their bins shaded. That's all of our bins. You can see the ones we have out here are all under trees. They're all shaded. And we try and make sure there's plenty of airflow. So we'll put shredded paper on top of the bins to make sure that there's a nice buffer of insulation, and yeah, and then make sure that they don't get their the food scraps and things like that don't heat up. You want to make sure that you're not cooking your worms with the material. So you want to be careful and not create like a hot compost like we have. Is you don't want to heat up your worms. So freeze your food scraps. Add ice. Some people add ice. I think a lot of that's silly, but make sure they have airflow. Put fans on them. Don't put lights on them this time of year if it's hot where you are. Yeah, I'm just checking them, make sure they're doing okay. So yeah, stay cool. I'm gonna go inside because it's ridiculously hot, and makes it hard to breathe with this temperature. So I don't know how you guys are doing in your areas, but stay inside, stay cool, and hydrate. All right, we'll see you next time. So, we've talked about this tree. A number of times. The tree that fell, and I'm waiting for that to fall. We keep getting storms, and no storms have come. And then the heat came, so I'm pushing it off again. But I wanted to show you what I found when I came out here to check on it and see how I could approach this thing with the chainsaw. Right, big tree, knocked that tree. That tree's split in half, so it's gonna fall and kill anybody that tries to cut it down. So we need to pull that down first. But this tree, I have my trail cam here for bobcat reasons, but I'm looking at this tree, right? You see what I see? That is barbed wire. That's barbed wire. That's barbed wire. That's a piece of barbed wire. So it goes through the tree. Here's a nail. That's lovely. There's another nail that I found the other day that's bent and broken. I don't know if there are any more pieces of, yeah, there's some barbed wire back in here. So that makes it a little dangerous to cut this tree because there's barbed wire running through the middle of it right here. I mean, we're 6 inches deep. Now I'm assuming there's not going to be any barbed wire from about here up, because that would be, you know, why would you put barbed wire 6 feet up on a tree? But that's a concern. So I don't see any more of this lower section, but we're probably just going to cut off this lower section and move it as one, and just hugel culture it, or put it in the compost pile, something like that, because I don't want barbed wire hitting my chainsaw, because something like that whipping around, that'll hurt a lot. So the saga of the tree continues.